What's up, everybody? This is Travis from Duel Humor, back again for a second part of Training with Travis in Trains. That's right, I'm going to be showing you some deck theory options. Some of these are side deck options, but most of these are main deck options. We're just going to talk about all the different builds and variants that you can run in Trains so that you can find the most optimum way.
How many variants have you done, Travis, so far?
This is my favorite deck. This is the best deck. I'm not even lying. This is like the best deck. So many different variants. I probably have like 20 variants of this deck.
You might have to change Duel Humor to Train Humor this time. There's so many train references in this channel.
This deck is awesome.
Yeah,
this
it's pretty
deck is
good.
Incredible. Like, as long as you're, like, staying on track with the idea that you only need 2 cards to win, all of these other options are nothing but consistency boosters and meta calls. Like, if you're going to be calling your locals, regionals, you can make these different calls. So, I just have, like, some 2 pages in my binder here to show you guys. We're going to talk about some different options, and I'll talk about the strength and weaknesses of both. And it'll be pretty quick, but just to kind of give you guys an idea of the all-encompassing knowledge that I have as a conductor of this deck. Let's get right into it.
Alright, so we're going to see his binder of Train all type supports.
This is
right
it.
Here. Jesus.
So, we're just going to talk about some certain engines. The first one is Shadal. I was running this originally, and I took this out of my deck before the Rochester Regional, and it was the best decision I made. My first 5 rounds were all control decks, and I wouldn't have really been able to use this card at all. I'm really glad I took it out. My biggest gripe that I have with this engine is that I draw these 2 cards all the time, and there is no in-deck way to proc these effects. That makes them entirely useless in your hand unless you draw this card. Now, with Verte Anaconda coming out, you could say, hey, Travis, I can activate the fusion spell from my deck. Well, let's just talk about that real quick. How are you going to get 2 monsters on field to summon Verte Anaconda to then send the Shadal card to now have monsters that aren't Earth Machines on the field? It just doesn't make sense. It's not going to plus you enough to really kind of justify running it. Although on its own, if you're going to call your locals meta or your regional meta that there's going to be a lot of spiral, that sort of thing, this is a must-negate card. There are certain interactions that you'll use this and an extender to then make your Cleafort Genius urgent schedule under it, search that card, draw a card off this, and you can kind of see where I'm going. This on its own is like a +5 or a +7. So this card is nice, but I am not running it right now. I don't really like it. So next we're going to move up here real quick. Just ignore my Third Night Express Knight. It's just hanging out in there in the station. So let's talk about these cards that are in the yard.
You want to take them out and show them the infinite tracks? So, I'm not sure if everyone knows about these cards.
Let's talk about this guy first.
Right there.
I like this card. This is probably the best Infinitrack card. This one, upon normal or special.
There we go. A little less, like right there. Perfect.
Yeah, just show me and I'll be able to put it back
there. That's perfect, right there.
So, Infinitrack Anchor Drill. This card, upon normal or special summon, can summon an Earth Machine from your hand. Pretty nice. Gives you link material, and you can summon it from the graveyard with some various effects I'm going to show you guys. This is probably the best one. It's also the most expensive. It's around $13 or $14 for some reason. But this engine, I don't think is going to be very viable until we get the Infinitrack search card that comes out in Eternity Code. Look here, when that card comes out, it's called Heavy Forward. It's going to make this deck. So moving on, this is the main Infinitrack card right now, Infinitrack Harvester.
Yes.
Upon normal or special summon, you search an Infinitrack card. So, pretty nice.
It's a searcher.
Yeah.
Really good.
But you do need to draw, and it is going to take up your normal summon. This is what you're going to be searching out with it, is the Brutal Dozer. So, Brutal Dozer locks you into Earth Machines once you use its effect, but you tribute an Earth Machine on the field to summon it, and then another Infinitrack from the deck. Okay. So, how that works is basically, I don't know if you can see this, but basically you normal summon your Harvester, search your Brutal Dozer, Brutal Dozer tributes the Harvester, you summon either of these from your deck. I would run 1 and 1, just so that you don't draw one and then the engine's dead. The ideal ratio is 3 2, 1, 1, and 1.
And the Tunneler and the Trencher, what they do?
These are like amazing cards. They have a lot of synergy. This one, you banish it from the graveyard to summon an Infinitrack from your graveyard, so you can urgent schedule these two out, link away, and then banish this, summon this to search, so very consistent. The Infinitrack Tunneler, you banish it, target 5 Earth Machines in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 2. That's right. Pretty awesome cards. So I would say in terms of consistency, this engine's amazing. Once we get the Infinitrack Search card, you're only going to run 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's right, just one of each with the Infinitrack Search card. You can then decide how to tutor out your next play. It's pretty awesome, very consistent.
So I'm going to pan it to you, Travis, and I want to know... I want to know what is the strength and weaknesses of that engine particularly.
So
for Infinitrack.
Infinitrack is very consistent. That is its major strength. What's really nice about it is I'm just going to show you this card real quick. Is the Infinitrack rank 5. This card is pretty amazing. Just takes 2 level 5s. You detach a material and search any machine from your deck to your hand, or send it to the graveyard. That's right, it is either a Foolish Burial or a search card. It's absolutely amazing.
Gorgeous.
So what's great about that, let me just grab this guy real quick, is you then link it away into Goliath. Goliath then, when it's removed from the field, attaches itself to an XYZ, and it makes that XYZ indestructible by card effects. So it can protect your XYZs, which is pretty awesome. We don't have any other protection effects in trains. I think it's pretty nice.
Okay.
But what's great is that you tribute a Earth Machine Link monster off the field to then summon this XYZ from the grave. So you can see how the synergies work there. You can also then do that on the following turn if you still have the Tunneler engraved to special, to then reattach this card and search another Earth Machine. So you can see that this engine is very, very consistent. Like, that's its best strength right now. But in terms of its weakness, it has one major weakness, is that it is absolute doo-doo if it gets negated. If you normal summon this and it gets negated, that's kind of the end of your turn unless you have extenders. You could link this off if you do have both Bullet Express and Heavy Freight Train Derricrane in your hands. But without those additional searches and those pluses going on, it kind of sucks. So I would say that you do need to run this in tandem with like a Called by the Grave, anything like that. So, you know, on its own, this card kind of sucks because of its negation. Also, these other cards can kind of brick in your hand, although they do have synergies. If you draw both of these or all 4 of these, the engine's kind of dead. So, yeah, there's that. But I would say the Infinitrack engine is nice as food, but it's not going to be great until we get that search card. So, and that search card's amazing. It can attach itself as an XYZ material. So, we're just going to go up to these like options that I have. Can you run multiple Ruffian rail cars? This card's pretty nice. I know I would say that if you desires away your other options, you kind of still want this card. Like, this card recurs your resources and keeps searching. Once you're out of targets, it's a little useless, but it does keep your urgent schedule alive. So this card is nice. Once it comes out in a better rarity, I might rent it. So, other than that, you know, you never really want to use its damage effect, although it did win me 1 game, so there's that.
And the Jet Synchron?
Jet Synchron. This works in tandem with your Scrap engine. This card is pretty nice, but it is a high cost. You have to discard a card, but it is a machine, so it has synergy with your links and that sort of thing.
And Exodius. We did talk about this in part 1, which was the deck profile.
That's right. We were running 1. You could argue to run 2, however you don't want to draw 2. But not having it is not a bad thing, but having 1 is nice. So, you know, running multiples, I would say only do that if you're absolutely trying to turbo into your rank 10s and not running like a heavy hand trap lineup. But I would say that this card is really, really good. The only downside is that it is not an Earth Machine. It also shuffles everything in the graveyard back into the deck. So I would say it's only good because it runs well in tandem with the Shadal engine over here, because you can recycle your resources. So for that, I would say maybe run 2 in the Shadal variant.
And the Cyber Dragon, original Cyber
Dragon. So this card is nice, nice, nice. We were running the Toon table with the Toon Cyber Dragon when we were running the Sky Striker variant, which Rip-a-slip-a.
Rip the deck.
We have the entire deck sitting in the binder. That's right. So I would say this card is pretty nice in certain matchups. Might be worthy of side decking.
Deck thins as well.
Yes, deck thinning is nice. However, the Cyber Dragon is so good because it links, or not links, but contact fuses into your Chimeratech Mega Fleet. So Chimeratech Mega Fleet is a level 10 machine, so you can see a lot of synergies there. Also, Shekinaga from the Shadal engine is a level 10 Earth machine, so lots of synergy there. Also, it recurs your Shadal fusion, so you get discard fodder. So, there's arguments for that. Running them in tandem is pretty nice to have the fusions, but what's so great about just Cyber Dragon on its own is it's just free link material. It also is a level 5, so there is some synergy with your Infinitrack cards in terms of making your rank 5 pretty easily with that. So I would say that this engine is pretty nice. If you're going to run it, I would either run just the Toon Table and the Toon Cyber Dragon, or just run 2 Cyber Dragon, or 3 if you want to make it consistent, although 3 is going to be pretty bricky, so maybe just run 2. I mean, you could argue to run 2, 3, and 1, but that is a meta call.
And then, let's see, what's that? So, Machina Fortress?
The last part of this engine, engine talk that we're getting into, is the Scrap Recycler engine.
Okay.
This card is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's
expensive. I like this card.
Pretty expensive, too.
Yeah, this card's like $15 right now. Let's just get it out and rip it in half.
Of the time of recording, at least, yeah.
Yeah, let's rip this card in half on camera. Yeah, so, this card's awesome. So, your entire deck is machines. Basically, this is starting to mill machine monsters to the graveyard to give you link material, to kind of like rank up into different things, to get any missing pieces in the grave, say for your Pegasus, although it does eat your normal summon. So, this card is pretty nice, but what's so great about it is that you can summon it off urgent schedule. Now, what we're really waiting for is the Machina structure deck. With that, you can summon the Machina Citadel and Scrap Recycler from the deck, make your Wyvern, go through your plays. Now, when Wyvern then pops the Scrap Recycler on field, it summons the Citadel from grave. So tons of synergy there. Now, I would run that in addition to 1 Machina Fortress. You could argue to run 2 in just a pure trains list, just for consistency reasons. You need machines. Heavy cost, though, to discard. What's nice is that it is a constantly recurring Earth machine from your grave. So if you draw dead cards like, say an Extra Night Express Knight, you can pitch it to summon this. So this is a nice card. Also has like minor protection effects when it's destroyed to pop a card or targeted to discard a card from your opponent's hand. So nice synergies there. Same thing with Gizmek Orochi. You could just tech this in as a 1-of or a 2-of, but it works really nice in tandem with the Scrap Recycler engine. This card is just constantly recurring machine monster. However, it does banish from your deck, so that can kind of hurt. But if you're just looking for a nice, consistent beater, that's what we're trying to do in this deck. We're trying to beat our opponent off. So basically, I would say this engine is strong now, but is going to be almost essential in trains later on once Citadel's out, because I think it's going to be the consistency we really need. So let's just take a brief look at all this. How are we supposed to run trains? You could run the Shadal engine with maybe mixing it in with some of these other recycling variants, with the Infinitrack engine, with your level 5s. I mean, there's a lot of ways to run this deck. So, I don't know, really, I like all of these engines on their own, but what you really need in trains, more than anything, is consistency. We don't have that, really, at the moment. There's not really, an over-encompassing, card to give trains the boost it really needs. I would say the best is probably Shadal Fusion. It mills a card to your grave so that you can send Bullet Express, you can send your Ruffian Railcar, immediately get them out of deck to get those searches during the end phase. Kind of slow, but overall is going to give you a +3 with just 1 activation, right? So it's pretty nice. The Scrap engine is going to be stronger once the Machina structure deck comes out. And the Infinitrack engine is probably going to be pretty nice as well once that heavy forward comes out. So, I would say it's more up to you guys about what you really want to run. In terms of my recommendations, I just like the pure variant. I'm looking for nothing but power cards. I want to break my opponent's board, and I want to run hand traps to weaken them for my turn. We only need 2 cards to win. So, I think all these engines are strong in their own outright, but it's up to you to consider them. I just wanted to present them in a way where, you could kind of see what they all looked like, and you could think about your own options. So, that's kind of all I have for this portion.
Well, thank you so much, Travis. That was very informative.
Training.
Yes, training with Travis, guys. Part 2. Hopefully, part 3 will come in the future.
You know, we could talk about some of these too, if you want. This stuff is interesting.
Okay,
I'm just gonna give it a brief spotlight.
All right, brief. Let's do it. Yes. Extra deck.
I'm just going to talk about these real quick. The number 35s, the number 84, and the number 77. This is a really cool boss monster. I would just say that this is good for decks that you can bait out until you can banish their field. So this card is what you really want to get to. It just wipes the board by banishing all special summon monsters. And these also inflict burn damage when your opponent activates spell or traps or monster effects respectively. However, I don't think these are very strong, and I would run them over different options. We have a second Gengar, third Gustav,
and what is that?
Let me just show this off. This card is crazy. This card is almost like...
There we go.
This card is almost amazing.
Wow. What is
so, you can detach
number
material,
20.
Target a monster on the field, and gain life points equal to its attack. That's time in the round. Gain 6,000 life points.
Damn.
Pretty nice. Yeah, that could come up. I've teched it in and used it. It's pretty nice. Yeah, and the other one, I don't have it in this section of the binder, but is the Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer. Have fun filling that out on a deck list. That card's pretty nice. You detach material, pop all your opponent's back row. They can't respond to it. However, its summon can be responded to, so I think it's a little doo-doo. The other one is, we were talking about earlier.
Old school Dyson Sphere.
That's right, number C9. Sucks up an opponent's monster upon attack
The Avermax Killer.
Yep, suck up that Avermax, suck up that Borreload, suck up anything, honestly, because you can kind of do it afterwards, and you have priority, doesn't matter what they have, and you can inflict damage with the number of materials times 300. So, suck up a monster, inflict 1,200, or you can also add, like, this is kind of funny to do later on, but Heavy Forward can add a material, and then, Goliath can add a material, so you can do an additional 600. So that's kind of funny. You could just burn them for a ton of damage with this each turn. The likelihood of that happening, not very much. Then I wanted to talk about this. Great Magnus, King of the Computer. So this card is pretty nice. You would summon this off of the Dreadnoid.
So they basically form with every part of the Indian continent. How you said it was like an Indian person formed that
Great
stuff.
Magnus, King of the Computer.
So that's the Indian Power Ranger, guys.
It's a Farfa joke.
Okay.
But yeah, Great Magnus. He's pretty nice. The reason I have it in here, though, is for Dreadnoid, the rank 4 that is $20 for some reason. Destroys opponent's monster by battle. You can rank up into any level 10 or higher Machine XYZ with no restriction. So slap this on top. What's
Amazing
funny
card.
is that you can then attach Heavy Forward to this as a material, as well as Goliath, and I believe that's 6 materials. So, or no, that's 5 materials. So you're still missing 1. But, you know, in theory, you could get 6 under this. I just thought it would be funny. But yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of it in terms of...
Alright, well, thank you so much, Travis, for all that informative...
Best deck.
Training information.
Best OTK deck.
Okay, so training with Travis, part 2 has ended. And
get lightning storms, or this deck is useless.
Please hit the like button and subscribe for more awesome content. And Travis and Franklin from Do Humor out. Peace, guys.